In this video, I want you guys to tell me whether or not you think that Chesapeake Bay Retrievers are the best of the lot when it comes to retrievers who can also serve as family guard or protection dogs. This is Ice. Ice is a little over 5 months old, and he's a great little dog. He's easy to train, regardless of the metric that you use to judge his trainability. He likes to eat, he likes attention, he's pretty friendly and outgoing, he's got a lot of drive to retrieve, he's got a very resilient temperament. And if you had to fuss at him, doesn't hurt his feelings, okay? And so he is an excellent example of a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. You don't always get them that are quite this good, but when you get a good one, man, they are awesome. But I've been doing a few videos here lately where we were talking about protection dogs. And in one video, I talked about how I think that for most people, a small dog is better than a big dog. You know, because in all honesty, from my perspective, it's better to have a small dog that you know can't fight than a big dog that you think can fight, but you find out that he can't when it matters, okay? Then I made another video where we were talking about pit bulls and how, you know, that type of dog, not just pit bulls in particular, but that type of dog are kind of dangerous, and they're really hard for small or petite people to control when they get super emotional, okay? So over the course of reading through the comment sections in those videos, like there's a lot of opinions about what makes a good guard dog, what makes a good protection dog, what kind of dogs people should have, should certain kinds of dogs be banned or whatever. And it kind of breaks down into an argument where people are like, just get a retriever or get a spaniel, get something that's really nice so you're not externalizing risk onto your neighbors. And then you have other people that are like, hey, Stonnie, I live in a kind of a bad, dangerous neighborhood, and I would like to have a dog that's tough enough to protect me if some evildoer came and tried to do myself or my family harm. And I understand that, you know, like one of the things that's hard in life is to see things from other people's perspective, right? So, like if you live in an area that's dangerous and you need a guard dog, listen, I feel you, I understand. I just would like for you to keep in mind that for most of us, if we're going to have a guard dog, the true utility of the dog comes from its deterrence, not its actual ability to engage in conflict, right? So with a guard dog, I feel like we want to try to maximize the deterrence value of the dog while simultaneously minimizing the liability, okay? So in my video where I was talking about, you know, pit bulls and Malinois and other dogs that are kind of popular as guard dogs, I feel like a lot of those dogs over the course of the last few years have been bred to be so drivey that we kind of lost a true sense of what a guard dog is for, you know. Like being a good protective dog should come natural, right? These Chesapeake Bay Retrievers were bred to have a natural instinct towards being biddable with their handler, towards having a high retrieving drive, a high work capacity, and then being able to stay with the handler's stuff while the handler went to the bar and had a beer or something, you know, after a hunt. Right? And those things, they didn't go to great lengths to train those attributes, okay? They basically bred those attributes into the dogs. And so sometimes, like if you've never been in the animal business, sometimes you really just don't understand the role of genetics as it relates to managing or training a dog, okay? Let me explain this to you. I'm a dog trainer, right? I get paid for influencing dogs, and I'm gonna tell you with 100% certainty what I do. I mean, it's cool and it's important or whatever, but a good dog is just gonna be a good dog. There's been a lot of good dogs in history, and there'll be a lot of good dogs when I'm gone, so I'm not that important to the overall process, right? I've got a way that I like to influence dogs, and I like to spread that way of influencing dogs because I think it's good for people and it's good for dogs, right? But regardless of whether or not you think how I like to influence dogs is good or bad, if you get a really good dog, it doesn't matter. So from my perspective, if you're gonna get a guard dog, okay, of some type, get one that like fits into your lifestyle and naturally has the attributes that you actually need to help you stay safe in whatever environment that you're in, okay? You see all these videos, I mean, I see it all the time. People will have the Malinois puppies, or they'll have whatever kind of dog, and you know, they got a guy dressed up in a suit or a guy wearing a hidden sleeve or something, and the dog's chasing them and biting them. And, hey, that looks cool. You know what I mean? It really does look cool. But that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the historical role of a guard dog. Okay, historically, you would think about dogs not really in terms of man fighters, right? Unless they were war dogs, you would think in terms of man discouragers. Okay, like, so you're not going to buy a Chessie and be able to send him, you know, in a building and do a building search with him and have him grab a bad guy and hold the bad guy or fight the bad guy to the death. That's not what they're for. But I tell you this, like when this dog's a little bit older, if you go to break into the car or you go to come in the wrong window of the house at night, okay, well, listen, these guys will bite you. My uncle, when I was just a teeny kid, we lived in kind of a high crime area, and my uncle always had these kind of dogs, and he always kept them in pairs. And this is another bit of advice for you guys that are thinking about getting protection dogs. If you get a pair of dogs, like say pit bulls or similar type dogs that were bred for exhibitionary violence, like they will feed off of each other, and they will come into drive sometimes and be completely uncontrollable for pretty much anybody but the strongest person, right? Whereas you can get a couple of herding dogs or a couple of Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, and although they do get each other fired up, okay, they don't get into these crazy, lose their mind, death spirals that the terrier type dogs do, or the dogs that were bred for exhibitionary violence do, right? Okay. So if you were looking for a dog that you could take hunting and you could go out in the yard and play fetch with, that's going to have a natural affinity for you, it's going to be pretty easy to train, well, listen, here you go. Now, if you're going to buy a Chessie thinking it's going to be just a golden retriever, right? Well, that's not true. They're not golden retrievers. So it's kind of one of those things where I keep seeing this pop up in the comment section of these videos where people are like, it's all about how you raise them. Look, I cannot raise this dog and turn him into this wolfhound. I can't do it. I can't raise him and turn him into a Labrador Retriever. I can't raise him and turn him into a Golden Retriever, right? He's going to be what he is. So if I want a really friendly, super gregarious, super outgoing, 100% stable dog under ridiculously high levels of environmental distraction like kids at a birthday party, okay, I'm buying a Labrador Retriever. I'm not buying a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. But if I live in an environment where I'm not going to be out in social circles all the time, putting my dog in a position where they have to have the patience of Job, okay? And maybe I'm worried about people breaking into my house and stealing my stuff. Maybe I'm, worried about people trying to mug me when I'm, out for my morning jog, okay? Well, yeah, I'd investigate maybe a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, because you get kind of a lot of cool things with this dog today. You get the ability to have a nice hunting dog. If you want to engage in some type of retriever sport activity, they excel at that. Very nice. They're super powerful swimmers, so if you just like boating, come on, up, up, up. They've got good endurance, as long as it's not too hot. So if you like hiking, I mean, they're just really good dogs. They're just not the most social dogs, right? Which is what a guard dog is. They're not that social. They have a distinct in-group, out-group preference. And so they like who's in their in-group, and they don't like who's in their out-group, and and these guys are a little bit quick to violence, okay? Now, I have 2 German Shepherds in there. I'm thinking about making a video with those also, because they're old school German Shepherds, old school straight back German Shepherds. And they both are a little pushy, and they're both a little bit high-minded with the other dogs. So they're not dog park dogs, okay? But they are naturally civil, right? In other words, if they get put in a situation where they feel like someone's trying to harm them or harm a person that's in their in-group, in their family, then they're quick to snap, they're quick to bite, okay? So again, I'm gonna stop talking about these dogs in terms of just, man fighters or not man fighters, because I think sometimes you guys miss what I'm saying, right? It's okay to have a man discourager, right? I just want people to stop thinking, to stop having this fantasy that just because you buy a breed of dog that looks big and powerful and it's got a big square head, that's going to naturally be like this noble animal that's willing to fight to the death for you, because most of them, they're not going to. Most of them aren't very tough at all. And then the ones that will, they like fighting so much that very few of you can control them if something goes wrong. I mean, go back and read those comment section in those 2 videos, and it's an endless parade of people talking about how, well, I'm small, but I can control my dogs, or my dogs would never do this or never do that. Okay, look, I hope you never have to find out you know, the hard way. Okay, but a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, it's the kind of dog that with a little bit of good, you know, basic obedience when it's young. It has a natural, biddable personality to its owner. Has a very distinct in-group, out-group preference. Okay, and it's tough enough. It's tough enough to do most of the things you want, and it's got enough of a wide-ranging skill set that you can do a lot of fun stuff too. So maybe check into that. Or maybe here tomorrow I'll make a video about these 2 German Shepherds I have, and I'll tell you why I think German Shepherds, especially the old squareback style, are better than Malinois for personal protection dogs. All right, I'll see you guys next week.